Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converse is the channel. Today I'm going to wrap up the Big Book Takeover 2021. It's been an awesome year. I had committed to reading a big book every month for the uh, for the year 2021. I was very successful at doing what it is that I wanted to do, although what I ended up wanting to do with it, did change over the course of the year. There's a midway point kind of recap and ideas going forward through the second half of the year earlier on my channel, and then this will be the end of it. I have 8 books here, or 9 books here, sorry. 9 books at over 8,000 pages. And this was the big books that I focused on in 2021 to get them off my TBR. And I'm not going to do a big ranking. Doesn't really serve to rank these books against each other. A lot of these books do completely different things, or are attempting and trying to do different things with the medium of literature and what the novel is, even structurally. So I'm just going to say that this is a completely subjective take on these books. I hope you get some value out of it. I'm going to say just a little bit about them, I'm sure. But this is my own uh, feelings on these books, and in no way, they're all great. They're all great. So I will start with kind of the bottom three out of the books, and kind of they are in a certain kind of order, and my last, you know, 3 to 5 are, they're amazing. I'm so glad that I read them. I'm gonna reread them in my life, and I'm glad that I have read them now, so I know, and these kind of things, just beautiful, wonderful books. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Bolano's 2666. Roberto Bolano. This book is a horror show of a book. It is very, very affecting. It's very, very dark and painful. There's a lot of death and loss, and it's bad. And it doesn't offer any kind of solution or any kind of way to navigate through this. It's just a portrait of hurt, and it hurts. It is it it's a wild book, and it is in very many different parts, 5 different parts, and I have a part on my uh, channel here, a video for each part, because it was easy to make content in that way, and the parts are very, very different from each other. It really reads like uh, maybe 5 novellas, but and I am glad I read it, except for maybe part 4, the part about the crimes. You don't, it's just painful, right? The next book I'm going to talk about and show uh, is Stephen King's 26 11 22 63. Stephen King's 11/22/63. So both of the bottom have numbers as their title, right? This was a cool book. I'm glad I read another Stephen King. It's been a long time since I read some Stephen King. This was one that I wanted to get to. People rave about it, and I really, really enjoyed it. He did his research, that's for sure. There's a lot of research and knowing, not about the assassination per se, although that is, undeniable as well, but where Lee Harvey Oswald was, where he was months and a year, leading up to it, his life, his family, what he was doing, why he was doing it, these kind of things play a really, really big part in 11/22/63. And it was really, really interesting. A great storytelling, a great Stephen King story framed as a time travel. Uh, there's it really was just cool. There is some violence in that really hits you hard. So I can definitely advocate it as a Stephen King book. Um, the next book is Underworld by Don DeLillo. So these were my three that I didn't really, resonate with the most out of what I read. Don DeLillo's Underworld is an awesome book, but um, separated by the type of culture. It's set in New York. and the time period that it was, and really Don DeLillo just, it didn't resonate well with me. It didn't resonate very strongly with me. I'm not a big baseball fan, even though being from Atlanta, right? I'm not a big sports fan, watching sports and like get into the game like that. And baseball plays a very large role in this book. So if I was if I resonated more with like certain subject matter that the narrative takes place around, maybe I would have found more to love about the book. I do like it a lot. I'll probably reread it. I mean, there's beautiful, beautiful language. DeLillo is a very great writer. So even, my first ones out of the gate here are ones that, they're great. I've had a great year reading. It's been something that um, I'm so happy that I did. Next is kind of the middle of the road for these amazing books. All the ones that here are amazing. So even a one that's kind of middle of the road, I don't know if it's because I have just read it so recently, um, but Foucault's Pendulum. It's an amazing book. This is one of the freaking craziest, wildest rides that I've read, and it's done in a telling kind of format. The whole book is kind of told to you. It's dialogue, a lot of dialogue, mostly dialogue, I would say, and conversations between characters, and then also just certain characters just giving it to you, talking to even to you as a reader. There's a lot to work into with Foucault's Pendulum. I will reread Foucault's Pendulum over and over and over, I'm sure, and so much more will come out of it because it's such a complex story. It's so multifaceted, it's so deep, it's really, really great. And if you like the kind of conspiracy theory, conspiracy history narratives and stuff like this, you're in for one of the greatest books ever written on the subject. It's so good. Um, I had so much fun with it. And then I had just recently finished Infinite Jest. This is the final book on my big book takeover 2021. I'm still, still don't know how to think about this whole book, but I have come to uh, some thoughts, some conclusions into how I think about my experience with Infinite Jest. And it is a lot. I mean, it's just an avalanche, a tidal wave of details about everybody, about every character, about everything, every the wall, the floor, everything. Like you get everything about the Enfield Tennis Academy and Innit House Recovery Center. This kind of live-in residency for addicts, and it is this is one of the saddest books that I've ever read in my life. It's so sad, and it's so sad over and over and over. The climax is the height of the entire book. It's done very, very well. The end is super satisfying, but it is a lot of work getting there. I don't know if I recommend it to most people. If you're in for it, if you're down for big books and to go for it, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. I will, reread it. I've already retouched a lot of parts of this because it's so interesting and it's crazy. It's crazy as hell. Um, David Foster Wallace was very a master at over the top, going over the top and being over the top. Another thing, so now that would be number five. So Infinite Jest would be in the top five there, right? If I'm doing like a top five, but you know, it's so tough because Roberto, or Umberto Eco's Foucault's Pendulum should definitely be in the top five, right? Like, it's so good. So, I mean, I've just read a lot of great books, and all these that are coming are just some of the best reading that I've done in the last 5 years. I'm so glad I undertook this past year. So I came into contact with a new author. This is Phillip Freedenberg. Wrote America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. This is illustrated by Jeff Walton. This is a mixed media big book beast that is so freaking fun. The amount of energy that is in these pages, how the book constructs itself and starts giving you the story, and you're on this quest narrative, and it's real meta because you're with the author and the illustrator on this trek that goes through every level of imagination and mind that you can think of. Wow, the mental capacity of people and their will is being subjugated by a dystopian society, and you can't share and create written words, and it just and there's the struggle with the world as it is. Creatives are being suppressed, and the world that our author and we all live in, which is a world of creativity and love of words and love of stories. And it's awesome. You go on a trek and on a quest with in that book that will take you to new places in literature, stuff that blows your mind over and over. Some of the scenes that are mind blowing stick with you for a very long time, and we'll see if you come across anything remotely like it in any other literature. It really is cool. I want to see these guys blow up because this is an amazing read. It's an amazing read. Top three. So the Recognitions by William Gaddis. I read this with a big group. This was for March of the Mammoths. Although, like we saw, the Mammoths have been marching all through my 2021 reading. But the Recognitions by William Gaddis. This is Gaddis's debut novel. It is unbelievable how complex and amazing and ambitious and powerful, like, and it works. Okay, like he does what it is that he set out to do here, and it's crazy. I mean, there's so much that he says in this book. There's so much that he says about art and fraud and culture and music and people, and identity. A lot of this kind of play in the Recognitions, it lands on identity and mistaken identities, false identities, any kind of fraud that you can think of, or fraudulent behavior, or a way of putting up a front, or anything like that, is explored in the Recognitions by William Gaddis in a very, very, very funny way. This is ultimately, there's an element of satire to everything that Gaddis does. He was a very powerful and insightful satirist, and the Recognitions, go for it. It's an amazing book. It's something that after reading JR, I couldn't help but read it, and I'm so glad that I did continue. I will read everything that Gaddis ever wrote. I will. So let's get a little bit more into the shot here with the books. And then number two, the second to last one here I'm going to talk about is Thomas Pynchon's Against the Day. There's a lot of content on my channel about Against the Day. I'm not going to hash out too much here. I got a couple of videos that are non-spoilery going through it, and then a full-on discussion of the book. It's an amazing book. This is basically a huge maximalist love letter to genre, to storytelling in a form of like a genre. There is maybe five or six different genres, different ways, modes of storytelling that are being employed by Pynchon here, all in the same world, all with different characters, but they're all happening now. So they kind of the characters kind of uh, do meet some and weave in and out of each other in ways. But ultimately, it is a beautiful book. It is an inspiring book, and the end is super satisfying. It will it it's a great read, and I recommend it for sure. One of the highest from uh, Pynchon if you can handle some real hardcore like erotica, almost to the point, and I would say to the point of pornography, because it is very, very explicit. All right, so we're here. Here was my big book reading for the year, and those who have followed the channel know already what is my number one, because there's only one up here that isn't shown. Well, I'm showing it, baby. It's Jerusalem by Alan Moore. I freaking love this book. I love this book. Um, more it's so freaking good, and it is just my thing. The what the kind of subject matter that Alan Moore explores in it is all my kind of thing, just very interesting to me. But what he does is he builds a cosmology from himself and his own experience, Northampton, where he lives, his people, and builds this huge cosmology, and then explores it in amazing, wonderful ways, storytelling wise and plot wise, and always interesting, and you're just going. But from a writer's standpoint, it is one of the most ambitious literary works that there are that I've ever read, because so many different literary devices are employed and they are all executed perfectly. And you see everything over and over happening. This book takes the place over a very short amount of time. Very, very short amount of time. And you see so many things happening over and over from the perspectives of different characters. It builds to be this kind of fugue that just is, and you're swept up in it. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's actually in a 3-book set as well. And I'll say, get that and read it. Get the 3-book set and read it, because you can read them one after the other. Um, you don't have to read them all at once, that kind of thing. But there's a breakdown of 3 videos breaking down Jerusalem, Alan Moore. But the third one is more my take on it. So that's where you'll just kind of find my take. This is the Big Book Takeover 2021. This is what it looks like at the end of it. I'm very, very happy with it. And let me know if you guys have read any, if you're going to read any. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. It's been great. So on to the next year. Let's do it, BookTube. Bye-bye.